Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page
I'll
news.
tell you one thing. It ain't nothing like getting an email that says your FICO score went up. Okay?
Hey,
right? And my score is pretty high.
I love them emails,
Man,
too.
God
Absolutely.
is good. All right?
Well, let's start off with boxing over the weekend. Shakur Stevenson beat Ciofalo Lopez.
Damn.
Man,
Did you watch the fight?
What did I? What a great fight card, man. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Watching Shushu. Bruce, he got busy. Keyshawn Davis is a killer. Dropping the clues bombs for Keyshawn Davis. He's a killer. And yeah, Shakur worked over Teofimo.
That's right.
Great
fell
card.
off? Who was that?
Jarrell
The
Miller.
wig? Oh, all right, yeah.
Big
Jarrell
Baby.
Miller. Yeah, Big Baby.
Big Baby,
Yeah,
okay,
his wig
cool.
flew off.
He ate that.
He had no
threw it-
choice.
Yeah,
he
ripped
had
it
to,
off and
you
threw it
know.
off. What's up, Mimi?
Good morning, MB, Jess, Charlamagne. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, girl,
Black
hey.
and highly favored. Peace, Mimi Brown.
Good morning. So we start this morning with a government shutdown already underway and no clear deal yet to end it. So House Speaker Mike Johnson says he expects the House to pass a funding package by Tuesday, even if Republicans have to do it without Democratic support. Let's listen to why he thinks that's possible.
We're going to demonstrate once again that this is the party that takes governing seriously. The Democrats play games with this, and I think it's very unfortunate because what they're doing is they're jeopardizing services to the American people. Some of these conditions and requests that they've made are obviously reasonable and should happen, but the mask, for example, the additional judicial requirement for a warrant would be a whole other layer of effectively bureaucracy. Remember, the immigration judges have already issued warrants, and that's what the ICE officials are acting upon.
So we're going to talk about those masks that a lot of Americans have had enough of. We're going to get back to that in a second. But right now, the shutdown is partial. Most federal agents, they are still operating, but workers could miss paychecks if this shutdown carries on. Now, at the center of this fight is immigration enforcement and funding for the Department of Homeland Security. The Senate, they passed a short-term funding plan that would keep most of the government open, while Congress, it gives them 2 weeks to negotiate changes to DHS and to ICE. But House Democrats say they won't back it unless there are stronger limits on immigration enforcement. And let's get into what the House Democrats think about those masks. Here is Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
What is clear is that the Department of Homeland Security needs to be dramatically reformed. We share that view, as does Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats, in a variety of different ways. Body cameras should be mandatory. Masks should come off. Judicial warrants should absolutely be required, consistent with the Constitution, in our view, before DHS agents or ICE agents are breaking into the homes of the American people or ripping people out of their cars. We need to make sure that there are complete and independent investigations so that when ICE or DHS agents break the law, they are held accountable.
Well, Johnson says ICE wouldn't stop operating even if DHS funding fails because the agency, they already received billions of dollars earlier this year. But other DHS agencies would fill it. We talked about this a little bit last week. TSA at the airports, FEMA, which is responding to those winter storms right now. And President Trump, he's also backing Johnson's strategy and says he wants this shutdown resolved quickly. Although those negotiations remain. So for now, the shutdown continues with federal workers, travelers, and disaster response agencies caught in the middle. And we'll see what happens as lawmakers race to avoid a longer disruption. So with the government shutdown.
Some people just can't catch a break. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, for sure. And some good news this morning. That 5-year-old boy whose detention sparked national outrage, he's back home in Minnesota. Liam Ramos, he was released this weekend along with his father after the two were held for days in an immigration facility in Texas. Now, their case, it drew widespread attention after images of Liam wearing that blue hat and carrying that Spider-Man backpack. It went viral. A federal judge ordered their release and criticized the administration of how they handled the case and questioned the treatment of children. Now, the family's attorneys say they came here responsibly, legally in 2023. They've been following all the immigration rules, and they never should have been detained in the first place. Now, this comes as Minnesota, where a federal judge has declined to block the Trump administration's large-scale immigration enforcement operation known as Operation Metro Surge. Now, the judge did acknowledge that there is strong evidence that that surge that we're seeing in Minneapolis with all of the federal agents on the ground, about 3,000 of them, that is having an impact on the community, including disrupted schools, strained emergency systems, and concerns about racial profiling. But she ruled that those concerns were not enough to legally shut down the operation. So Minnesota officials, they say that they will continue to fight this. Front Page News has an interview later this week, with some of the officials in Minnesota. And so we'll ask them about this, what plans that they continue to take, what legal options they have on this. And we'll get back to you when we have some more answers on that.
All right. Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you, Mimi.
All right. Coming up at 7, there's a massive new drop on those Epstein files, and we'll tell you what is in them and why they're still raising eyebrows this morning.
Y'all, the Breakfast Club. Let's get back to some Front Page News. This weekend, Shakur Stevenson beat Ciofalo Lopez. Unanimous decision. I didn't see the fight. How was the fight?
Man, it was fantastic. The whole fight card was fantastic, okay? Salute to Shushu, Bruce. What's Bruce's last name? Carrington, right? Yeah. Bruce Carrington. He got busy.
What unanimous mean? Is it a tie?
No. I mean,
my God.
Majority of the judges.
Shut up and tell me what it mean, nigga. What it
Majority of the
mean?
judges said he won.
No, I mean everybody.
No, everybody said he
all
won.
the judges said he won.
Unanimous.
Okay.
And yo,
119-109 was the scorecard.
salute to Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn is a killer, and Keyshawn got an evilness about him that I like. Like he comes to the ring like the Joker almost. Like I'm gonna snatch your soul. He look like. I'm about to say he looked like an evil Lakeith Stanfield, but Lakeith Stanfield look evil too.
Yeah, he did.
But yes, Keyshawn got busy. Salute to Keyshawn and salute to Shakur, man. It was a great fight card. I mean, fantastic from top to bottom.
Yep, and also the 2026 All-Star teams have been selected. Yes, LeBron James is on the Western team. He's just not a starter. So he's on the Western Conference team, but he's just not a starter. All right? That's what everybody seemed like they were looking for. What's up, Mimi?
Good morning, Envy. Jess, Charlamagne, how y'all doing this Monday morning?
Peace, Mimi Brown.
Good morning. So we started this hour with a major new release of the Jeffrey Epstein files and questions about whether this is really the end of the investigation. So the Justice Department, they've released about 3 million documents, along with 2,000 videos and roughly 180,000 images, all tied to Epstein's crimes and the investigation around them. It's the largest batch made public so far under that Epstein's File Transparency Act. And the newly released material includes records from Epstein's time in custody, documents related to his death, and the investigation files connected to his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell. She's now serving that 20-year prison sentence for helping traffic and groom underage girls. Now, the Trump administration says this release now marks the end of its review, aside from some limited court-approved exceptions that it said it will work on if the court tells them to. But Democrats, they say this is far from over, that this is not the end of it. Lawmakers, they said they are pushing for transparency, and they argue that there are still more than 6 million Epstein-related records that have only been released, and they said there's still half of those that still need to be released. They say too many documents remain withheld or heavily redacted, and they want clearer answers about why that is missing. Let's listen to California Congressman Roques on that.
They've released, at best, half the documents, but even those shock the conscience of this country. And there is a demand for elite accountability. But the survivors' lawyers that I've talked to have said that the survivors are still upset, and they want to make sure the rest of the files come out. There's some people who committed crimes, and that needs to be looked at. And we need to understand who were some of the associates of Jeffrey Epstein. Those names haven't come out. In fact, they were covered up. We need to understand who may have abused or raped underage girls. But then there's a broader issue, and that is that there are rich and powerful people who may not have committed a crime, but who are emailing Jeffrey Epstein well after he's a pedophile, talking about going to his island, talking about wanting to participate in wild parties.
You know, that's what I don't understand, right? Like they put out the documents, that are heavily redacted. And if the files do come out, and what's going to happen? I see names like Bill Gates floating around and Elon Musk and Prince Andrew. What's going to happen to those individuals? It seems like all of those individuals are too big to fail anyway. So, what's the point?
Yes, Charlotte, that's a very good point, including, you said Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, a Google co-founder. There were a lot of names in this last batch, and a lot of people have been asking, so what happens next? I mean, if we get the unredacted files, what is going to happen? So investigators say that any new criminal charges would depend on what, if anything, emerges from the remaining material. But who knows if we'll ever get that. Again, the Justice Department says that they're done releasing any information. You've got more than 3 million files this last batch. And so they said that they're finished. But you're right. To your point, what is going to happen, especially with these very rich and powerful men who seem to all be in cahoots together to make sure that this information doesn't come out. But
Rokana said something important, too. I mean, even if some of these people aren't like implicated in any crimes, they were emailing with, Jeffrey Epstein well after the fact of people knowing that he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Which is wild to stand on because, I mean, there's a lot of people who still communicate with folks like that.
Exactly. But is that a crime, though? You know what I mean? It's maybe morally wrong, but can you charge them with a crime for emailing if you have no proof? You know what I mean? If there's nothing to solidify that they actually, committed an act, a criminal act.
Absolutely.
So we will continue to see what happens with these Epstein files. And we talked about this briefly on Friday, and there's an update this morning. So journalists Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, they have been released from federal custody after being arrested while covering that anti-ICE protest at a church in Minnesota. Now, both say that they were there to report and not to protest and deny doing any wrongdoing. Now, a federal judge earlier had refused to approve their arrests in the first place, saying there was no evidence of criminal behavior. And lawyers for both journalists say that they plan to fight the charges. Now, the arrests are sparking a wider conversation. Killer Mike, he was asked about it on the Grammys red carpet last night, and let's listen to what he had to say.
In this country, you have a First Amendment right. You have the right for free speech. You have the right for religion. You have the right to assemble, and you have the right to protest government. According to your First Amendment, hold on to that in the way you clutch your religious books. There have been times when me and Don have not agreed. That has not stopped the relationship and the friendship. I believe that brother loves and respects the people and his people. With that said, I was appalled to see him arrested, but I was proud as I was of Uncle Luke when he got arrested in the 90s, fighting for our First Amendment rights. I was as proud as when I read about Frederick Douglass had to fight for our rights, or Sojourner Truth, or Harriet Tubman, or Lucy Parsons. So he is in the tradition of blacks that have fought and Americans that have fought in this country for our rights, and we should be right in tow with him right now.
Absolutely. This is not about Don Lemon. Sometimes people get caught up in the person. You know what I mean? Like, don't get caught up in the person. Get caught up in the injustice. And injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. What happened to them was an absolute injustice. Like, you cannot just wipe your ass with the Constitution in that way.
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very true. And so journalists everywhere, are actually taking a stand. I saw it all over my timeline last week, and it continues to be a wider conversation this morning. And I'm sure, this whole week and while we watch this play out. So we'll continue to watch that. And speaking of updates, we have another one involving Nicki Minaj and some clarity from the White House. So after Nicki posted online about receiving that Trump gold card, a White House official now says that was not a legal visa and described it as a gold-colored memento. It is not a document that provides residency or a path to citizenship, despite what Nicki may have claimed online. That comes as she spent last night talking, posting heavily about the Grammys, not about the awards, but about politics, power, and people she wants to hold accountable in the music industry. And many of those posts, of course, they included political attacks and broad accusations that were not backed or court verified. And there was a moment where the host, Trevor Noah, he joked about Minaj, her ties to Donald Trump. I know Lauren's going to break that down later in the latest. But after Minaj, she referenced Lizzo online during one of her rants online, and Lizzo came forward and weighed in. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Is you're about to see an influx of people who see that it is more profitable and more beneficial to join that side. This is Trump's first year as president. We got 3 more years of people who are going to surprise you, and it's going to hurt your feelings and it's going to disappoint you. There's money behind everything. There are privileges behind every move people in these positions make. I'm not surprised.
I don't think it's more profitable and beneficial to join that side. Like, where is the evidence of that?
Yeah.
Like, where is the evidence of that for people who are not in like the top 0.00001% of wealth in this country? Like, where's the evidence of that? Melania Trump movie just flopped this weekend, and she's the first lady.
Caught a huge brick.
But
She got
maybe it's not the money, but maybe it's like the privilege, that comes with it, or while the rest of us are dodging ICE or our family members are being deported, maybe there's some sort of protection. I mean, who knows? I think that's maybe what she's trying to imply is that, so we'll
and
see.
then money, right?
Really,
I mean, she got to be getting paid. like something.
That was crazy too, Mimi. You said Lizzo weighed in. I don't know why you would do
That
that.
is so
I caught
funny.
that too. I caught that
was
too.
wild.
You like my double entendre there?
I don't know why you would do that.
Lizzo waiting. And really quickly, since it's February and Black History Month, there is a Black History moment that happened last night at the Grammys. For the first time ever, a sitting Supreme Court justice attended the Grammys. So Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she was nominated this year for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album for the audio version of Lovely One. Now, the award, it ultimately went to another nominee, but her presence alone made history. So congrats to that.
Congrats. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, that is your front page news. I'm Mimi Brown. Follow me at Mimi Brown TV for more stories. Follow the Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app or visit BINnews.com.
And aren't you going to Minnesota, Mimi?
I am going to Minnesota. I actually leave today. Yes, I am. And we'll be bringing you front page news from the ground in Minnesota, checking out what's happening.
You going by yourself?
Get to the bottom. I am not going by myself.
Okay.
I'm going with the cameraman. So, but we'll be safe. We'll be safe.
Yes,
I'll be
please,
checking
be nice
in.
and careful.
I've shared, go ahead.
I said be
What'd you
nice
say?
and careful, because what the hell?
Yes. And I'm going to share my location with you, Jess.
Thank you.
So you have.
'Cause damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you definitely trying to get
Just
lost.
shut up. Just shut up.
Just sound like a troubled boyfriend. Where you going?
Right.
Send me your location. You make sure you say, who you going with? What's the cameraman name? Is he licensed?
Because she
How
just
big is he?
we hear
Pause.
something bad about Minnesota every day, and like she going, and it's just like, oh my God, it's just crazy. I feel sorry, or I just feel worried for anybody that's there. So
yes, I appreciate the concern. We're going to be safe, but we're going to go and we're going to get some answers. We're going to try and talk to some of the lawmakers and see what's happening in Minnesota and how it's really affecting the people. It's very
Be safe out there, Mimi.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll see y'all tomorrow from Minnesota.
Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?